and as well as she, Caitlyn, she clapping inside of the faces of the referees and is cheered. And but when it comes to the us looking at Angel with this, they want to all but give her any grace, any mercy, and they want
You
to.
know, just being completely objective, I feel like every time you mention one, it's like the other one has to be mentioned. And that to me is like so unnecessary and a bit annoying at times. It's like
Okay.
if you make like and I'm not talking about you, I'm just talking about like in general, like you can make I can make a post about Caitlin Clark, and it'll be something like, oh, Angel could never. And I'm just like the Nike post, I was shouting Caitlin Clark out. I thought the commercial was cool, you know what I mean? With the
Hmm.
whole mom, no logo mom, but whatever have you, you know what I mean? I'm like, I always get credit where credit is due. And then some of the comments were like, yeah, Angel could never. I'm just like, why can't y'all just celebrate Caitlin Clark? This whole post is celebrating her. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a Caitlin Clark fan, then shout her out. I like the commercial. It was dope. I want to get her shoe, like whatever it is, you know what I mean? But like, why are you bringing Angel over here? I'm not even talking about Angel, you know what I mean? I'm celebrating Caitlin Clark. If you're a
Hmm.
fan, celebrate Caitlin Clark. You know what I mean? The same
Definitely.
goes for Angel. Like the amount of hateful comments that are left on a post
Yeah.
when I mention Angel is like next level to me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this makes no sense at all. And then even you could be talking about Angel's hair, you could talk about her sneakers, and it'll be, oh, she could never be as great as Cece. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like I'm shouting out her eyelashes or whatever for the day. You know what I mean? Like her new cornrows, and I'm being facetious, but I'm just like, why is Caitlin Clark in this conversation? Like no one's talking about her, and it's like you
Yeah.
can't mention one without the other. It's for whatever reason, it seems to like always. It's like people say it's not a rivalry, like they're not, in the same conversations or whatever heck, but it's like you put them that way. You know what I mean? Like when you mention Angel, it's like, oh, I gotta mention Caitlyn and vice versa. So this is why the rivalry seems to be there. This is why, they're always in the same conversations. As much as her fans are like, oh, she shouldn't be in this competition with Caitlyn, you guys keep putting her there, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's so annoying. It's like there should be enough love to go around. You know what I mean? Like without all the extra unnecessary hate. I'm like, wow, you guys. I really until like I've always been on social media, like kind of scrolling through myself, but until like I started becoming active, content creating, I didn't really realize how many hateful, negative people like live to like just spew hurtful, mean, nasty comments. I'm like, what happened to you? Who hurt you growing up?
Yeah, but we do see that, and the problem is that you know what the real thing that gets me out of it all? It's the personal how vicious it is when it comes to Angel. They want to talk about how she looks. They want to talk about is she
How she
broke?
was raised,
How, yeah, it goes to a
her
whole nother.
mom.
Yeah, yeah, they start going into a whole different direction. And truth of the matter is, I'm a, me. I speak straight. Black men don't do that to girls like that. I'm talking about like when we talking about other, little girls that to me they like little girls. Like they
Mhm.
don't do stuff like that. They don't be like, oh yeah, she looks like a this and that, and this stays on that. I mean, like day after day after day, and it's like it's just so much of a buildup. And when you see that, like you dealing with somebody who has a problem. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
When every day you turn on I put on Facebook because I do music and I do sports, but the
Mhm.
sports is overwhelming and it just pops up like all times of the day. It's like
Mhm.
starting from 4 o'clock in the morning till
Mhm.
I get up like 5 o'clock every morning, and it's like the same thing. It's just like pop 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 pop, and it's coming out like that. I'm like, man, what in the world's going on? That you have something to say about this young girl early in the morning about her looks, how much money she does or don't have, and she's not committed to basketball, and it would just be so many different things in it. I think it's a shame, but it's like, and I just hated that a lot of some black men are now. They're coming out more and more, but I've been saying it from the inception. I was saying it last year. I was like, black men have to show our black women more support, and we have to defend them. We have to be the gatekeepers when it comes to people talking about our women, whether I agree with their lifestyle or
Mhm.
not. I have to defend you. You're still a human being at the end of the day.
See, for me, like I defend, where I feel is like necessary, like
Hmm.
whether you're black, white, purple, I don't really care. Like if I feel like what you did
I do.
is something that's defendable, then I'll
Hmm.
defend it. You know what I mean? If I feel
Yeah.
like you were wrong, I gotta hold you accountable. You know what I mean? Respectfully, of course. Because you can hold somebody accountable without being nasty and
Oh
vicious
yeah.
and with a personal attach. You know what I mean? But going back to Angel slapping the clipboard, you know what I mean? Like it amazes me. Some people were like, "Oh, that's unprofessional. She should never have done that." And yes, it was unprofessional. It was her coach, right? So, in a perfect world, it's like people act as if like you've never done or said anything when you've been frustrated. I'm like, I know Angel's not the only person in this world, and I know me and Angel, I guess, so I put it like that. It seems are not the only people in the world that have done
Hmm.
things when they've been frustrated that they should not have done you
Yeah.
know people like saying it was assault, saying that she should
So
be suspended. I was like, assault? Like, I'm like, we kind of like we're going really really far out with it. This is not assault. She knocked the clipboard down. Now if she slapped the hell out of her coach, then okay, I'm like, you got something right there. Like Angel slapped her coach because she was mad or whatever situation was, or she kicked her coach or whatever have you, or she
yeah.
slapped her coach with the clipboard, something along those lines. But I'm like, she hit the clipboard. That's all she hit. She didn't touch her coach at all. I
Yeah.
really wish that the coach, she said, no, her coach name is Ann. She said Ann didn't let her apologize because she understood it was, heat of the moment. She was frustrated about, the officiating. But I really wish that Ann would have actually said something, the actual coach, like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
know
We need
Angel,
that.
you know what I mean? Like we know that, the optics of it were not good, but we know her heart. You know what I mean? We know how she is, what she means to this team. And we know that, she's not disrespectful. That was just something that she didn't heat in the moment. We'll deal with it in-house, whatever it is, but I really wish that we would have heard from Ann directly,
Yeah.
or Tyler Marsh, one of the two.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of people keep trying to like add on with her saying, "Oh, she does this, she does that," but no one has any receipts. It's one thing I can say plainly is that whenever black folks do anything and out here and yeah, and I'm going to bring out the race. She and I we're vanilla and chocolate up here, but um my whole thing is that whenever someone black does something, if they do it, somebody's going to have the receipts of it. Somebody's going to pull it up, and everyone keep telling me, "Oh, she does this. Remember when she's so sassy?" And I'm like, "When? Where?" Roll a clip. If she really was those things, they would show. People would have the actual receipt. They would have the sound bites, but
Well,
she's
she
not.
does have, she is a little sarcastic. She got a smart mouth, but so do half the WNBA.
But
Like it's not
it's
just
not.
her.
But you clapping back and saying, if someone says something, they go, well, we're running where we're going to run, or if you say it a little bit stern or a little bit,
Mhm.
that's normal talk, and
Mhm.
that's why I said, a lot of Caucasian folks want to hold black people um to the fire about things to the nth degree. In other words, they want us, penalize the hardest for the smallest thing. You know.
But honestly speaking, when it comes to Angel, like looking at
Mhm.
my comments, looking at a lot of comments on social media, I can't just say it's white folks holding her like that. I see more black people than anything.
I don't. Not where I'm at.
On my page, I saw a lot of black people in the comments. On my TikTok, if their profile photos are legit, who they say they are,
No.
I'm like, I mean, there are. I'm not saying there's nobody white at all in there, but the majority, like even I scroll through on other pages, on social media, TikTok or YouTube, whatever. Not my pages, but other people's pages. I'm just like, wow, there's a lot of men,
Yeah. It's always
black,
it's
a lot
more
of black
men.
men,
It's a lot. It's always men.
and I'm
Men.
like, when
Yeah.
did
It's
men
always.
become so sassy? Like, I was like, what's going
She
on?
called them. She called them men spicy. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then people leave comments. I'm just like, you really went out of your way to type that? Like, you didn't have
Yeah.
nothing better else to do? Are you bored, sad? Like, some of the comments just read like people read like men who are butthurt. I'm like, who broke your heart? She must have been
Yeah.
black. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of comments of like black women this and black women that. I'm like, I'm talking when I make comments or make videos, like I don't make it from a standpoint of okay, I'm talking about Caitlin because she's a white basketball player. If it's a
Yeah.
great commercial, I'm shouting her out because it's a great commercial, giving her respect, with her credit where it's due. Same thing with
Yeah.
Angel. I'm not shouting her out because she's my black sister, so to speak. You know what I mean? I'm shouting her out because I like her. I'm proud of what she's doing. I'm proud of the growth, like that's where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just like all these comments about black women, black men, white. I'm like, why is everything so colored? Like, I don't know. I'm like, sports used to be, or
Well,
entertainment, should I
because
say, in general, used to be like,
it's the country. Well, but it's never. It always has been. It never
no,
went
I'm not saying
away.
like, I'm not saying that like like racism is new or things like that. But I just feel like, with these two specifically, like it's just
Mhm.
it goes next level all the time, and it's not
Well,
like that with anybody else. With Asia and Stewie play, or
but
Stewie
you
plays
know what the
Skylar
difference is.
Diggins. Like it's not like this. You know what I mean? There's a lot of black and white players that go against you in WNBA, but it's
But
not like this.
but you don't know what the difference is. This is what the difference is.
Age, what?
No, it's the fact that Caitlyn is a heterosexual and Stewie is somebody who support alternative lifestyle. So they don't. So a lot of Middle America doesn't like that. They don't dig that. So what end up happening is that they needed someone who was heterosexual that they could champion. So that was
Sabrina
Caitlyn.
Nescu is heterosexual. She's married.
Huh, listen, but she's not polarizing. They was waiting for somebody who was polarizing. Sabrina Ionescu is a roller coaster a little bit. You know what I mean? But
This season she has been.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that Kate was polarizing because Kate was was just running down court, pulling up and hitting bombs, boom,
Mm.
and it caught on in college. And you know that the college wave. Let's just be real. Everybody keeps saying, "Well, you come over to the pros. That's what the real." No, college is huge. People
Mm-hmm.
don't even notice how big college. Even I'm not going over to football, but how big
Uh-huh.
college football is. It's
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
it's another world
It
that
is, yeah.
don't even touch on. Why do you think a lot of these USFLs and all that stuff work? And they actually can make money off of them. They can make money because people love football. People love their college. You go down,
Hmm.
Texas. It's a lot of college and universities that are well supported, and these
Hmm.
college coaches are making like what 10 million, 5 million. You know how much that is for a college or a university? It's
Hmm.
crazy. So so when Kate was in college, she was doing it up. You're gonna have a lot of people who are novice that's pouring in. You already know this, but they're pouring in and they're like, oh, they're so everything is just so polarizing about her. And I always give the Ronda Rousey thing because Ronda came in and she was kicking butt, and all of a sudden, mixed martial arts was cool, and everybody wanted to see it. So that's what's going on. She's a savior. She represents more than that. She's running down court and just pulling up, and people think it's so funny how when people see that they think that she's pulling up in people's face. I'm like, this girl pulling up wide open, but I leave that alone. But
I just honestly speaking, I wonder, do people actually take the time to really realize that maybe this is like a bit much from a mental standpoint? It's like when you already are such a big star, a transcendent star, because she definitely
yeah,
is with the way the wave and everything is
yes,
surrounding her. You know what I mean?
hmm
You already have enough on your shoulders, right?
yes,
Like when I watch her, I feel like I see someone who's not authentic. I feel like I see someone who's always like wearing a mask. I feel like she comes across to me like she has to like say the right thing, do the right thing, be proper, classy. Like she like I never hear her say a wrong thing. Like in a presser in an interview, it's always I'm saying the right things, I'm doing the right things. I'm being the woman my parents raised me to be, kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's how I feel when I watch her, and I really feel like a lot of the games missed this season were not just about physical. I think it was more so mental, which can actually cause you physically to be injured or ill or feel sick. But
hmm
I'm just like, every time you turn on the television or something, like a lot of the conversations that surround her are not even basketball related you
yeah,
know I'm like, and if you're a fan of hers, why don't you focus on how talented she is as a player, as opposed to putting her in all these different conversations? I don't think she wants to be a part of, honestly. I don't think she wants to be a part of leading the white charge, so to speak. I honestly, like, she just wants to get
yeah.
out there and play. talk her shit, obviously, excuse me, talk her smack, to her fellow, teammates,
Yeah.
constituents, and that's really all, you know what I mean? But it's like she can't just do that. It's such a heavy crown that she wears. Angel too, for different reasons. But it's just like, I want to play basketball.
Yeah, they
Like, I
both,
don't want to talk about
they both
like,
carry like a huge
yeah,
crown,
they
right?
do,
But
just in
I
different
I think
ways,
that it's so funny. It's both of them are drenched in hate. You know what I mean? Like, even though they're supporting Kate, they're really like, so they really like putting their point of views out, how they feel about people of color and minorities when they do that. You never
Mhm.
seen it before. This is one white girl who's doing X, Y, and Z. But I think that they put a lot of pressure on Kate. And the reason why I give Kate a pass, because she can actually end a lot of it. She could end a lot of it. All she has to do is stand up and say, hey, I know she did it one time, but you have to let
Mhm.
folks know. Like,
Mhm.
no, I don't support that. I'm not a part of this. I don't believe in saying X, Y, and Z. When you see them calling people out of their name like that, and you see it, but they don't want it. She don't want to. So she's kind of caught in her own paradox. You know what I mean? Because she's like, if I say something, I'm gonna disappoint these people. But on that same note,
That's why I said I feel like she's always trying to like do the right thing, say the right thing.
but
Like,
her
I'll
silence
say a
also
little bit like,
makes her
this is not
complicit,
right.
though.
Huh?
Yeah, but her silence makes her complicit, because by her remaining silent, you're letting people speak for you, even though you don't feel that way. And now your locker room can look at you a certain way. Some fans can
Mhm.
look at you a certain way. So you always feel like you're in the middle. So what she has to do is she has to get the kahunas to say, hey, look, I have to make a choice. This is
Mhm.
what I believe, and this is what I'm gonna say. I don't dig you guys calling Angel X, Y, and Z, calling these ladies over here who have a different lifestyle than me X, Y, and Z. You can't do that. I'm not for you guys doing that. Just because
Mhm.
I don't choose that lifestyle doesn't mean I have the right to talk about them. I don't own that right. And that's
Mhm.
what a lot of America is about. It's about ostracizing, building walls, and kicking people out, either literally or figuratively. You know what I mean? They're gonna
Mhm.
find a way to put up a wall. And they don't like hearing that, because that's what it makes them not teach Black history. That's what makes them not teach certain things, because they would have to see themselves. And Caitlyn is going to either her reflection either going to be them, or it's going to be who she really is. And as long as it's them, she's always going to be behind that. She's always going to be the puppet master.
The
Always.
thing is, I'm going to give her some grace because I really feel like it has to be a tough spot to be in.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. I really
That
feel
was
like
my
it's a
air
tough.
horns. I was giving myself some air.
Oh,
No,
okay. Mhm. Yeah, no.
no.
I really no. I said no. A loud no. I'm saying 10 toes on it. Nah. Um, I'm gonna give her some grace because I really feel like, I mean, there are plenty of white athletes, I guess, who could have spoken out about different things in
Mm-hmm.
society that has happened. Um, but everybody's not that kind of person. You know what I mean? Everybody's not.
Yeah, they're
Let
not built
me
for that. Yeah, I
yeah, everybody's not, a Malcolm X kind of, kind of personality, Martin Luther King Jr.,
understand.
individual. And I feel like she already carries enough. Um, I don't think it's fair to ask her also to, like, I mean, she has spoken out about it before, but people, I think either she came out, like, I think when she did, what was it, a Time article where she was talking about, I'm paraphrasing, I think it was when she was named Times Athlete of the Year, Woman of the Year, something like that, if, earlier
Yeah,
this year, or was it last year, earlier this year, I believe. Um, and she was talking about, some of the, I guess the things that have gone on between, between Black players and white players, and
yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, it's like a lot of her fans were like upset with her for that, and I'm just like, I don't get why. Like, for me, who I am, like, we were talking to Reese from Philly the other day, we were like, as a fan, why should it bother you if somebody speaks out about something that's not right? You know what I mean? Like, if you're white, black, if it's not right, it's not right. If
Mm-hmm.
why should you be offended if someone speaks about it? Like that shouldn't bother you as long as they're not talking about you. What you offended for? But
Yeah.
I know they were kind of coming for her. Some of her fans read some of the headlines like, Cece joins the woke crew, and Cece lost, a lot of millions of fans, with this post or this article. And I'm just like, she didn't say anything. She touched on the surface of it, and she didn't really like go, layers deep. And
Yeah.
that's why I said I really feel like I would love to really know, like when her career is done, or one day when she sits down with, I don't know, Barbara Walters or something, she really like
Say
just
the truth.
opens up and
Yeah.
just really says how she feels, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just like, girl,
Yeah,
like,
most definitely. Yeah,
like,
whatever
yeah,
it is. Yeah.
we're all flawed, you know what I mean? Like none of us are perfect, but I feel like, she's always trying to make sure she, doesn't upset her fans and the organization and parents and, all the endorsements and whatnot. They have her like in this, I see so many comments that say, oh, Caitlyn never does anything wrong. She's always so right, always so classy. I'm like, y'all, she's a person, damn it. Like let her live. I think because Angel is the opposite, you know what I mean? Like she says the wrong things, she's loud with it, she's outspoken with it, she makes no apologies for it. And people never really like something like with Jaylen Brown, when he spoke out about Nike, like they kind of like threw him out there. I'm like, he'll never get a chance to do Team USA because of how outspoken he is, but he don't care. He's like, I believe what I believe, and I'm going to speak about it, speak on it, and that's that. But that's his personality. That's Amy's personality. That's how they grew up.
Everybody can't handle that. I
Caitlyn is
understand.
different. So I'm just like, but I mean, for the fans, I'm like, if you're a fan person, you truly actually rock with her, let her live. Let her live.
Yeah, but see,
Talk about the basketball when it comes to her. It's always so many other conversations like outside of basketball. What was that?
no. I was making sure my thing worked.
Uh-huh.
But this is the whole thing about that. It's like everybody wants to like control people. Like a lot of folks that Deborah Sloan, somebody tell her that Barbara Walters Barbara.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope it didn't happen again.
No, it ain't happening again.
But no, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we know what you mean. Yeah,
Robin Roberts, whatever. Like.
Yeah, but let's say if she come back and talk to whomever, I don't care. But the whole thing is that people want to control you. They want to mold you to be, what you are. They want to keep saying in the media, black girls are thugs, until we finally pick up the jargon. Like when people say woke that has nothing to do with the Republican Party or even the Democratic Party may think that it is. Woke means to be aware of the things that go on around you. Know that if you in a room full of kids and you got a drink and you leave it on the table, when you come back, if you black, don't pick that drink back up. You know that, right? Look, if we're gonna talk, we're gonna talk. If you ain't gonna talk, you ain't gonna talk. You know what I mean? Because some people had a propensity to do evil things to black people because they know that there's no repercussion. They know that there's no penalty to pay. So who best to ridicule and to drag than black folks? And that's why you don't see the WNBA talking about anything about Angel Reese being harassed on social media, but you hear everything about if Caitlin Clark, if somebody plucks her finger. It's like people lose their mind. It's actually a topic on ESPN, FS1. And it's a shame that it's like that. And people say there's no difference between the two. Yes, there is a difference. That's a huge difference.
That's what I'm saying though. Like for Caitlin Clark, like I said, I hope someday soon, we get to actually really hear how she feels about these things. It's like, I don't know if she wants to be trending every single time she gets fouled. Like Caitlin Clark gets fouled hard. She gets poked in the eye. Like they, she needs they need to give her a different whistle. They need to protect her more. She should have these different rules implemented. I mean, if I'm a ball player, like I want to be respected as a ball player. Like I don't want you to implement a whole bunch of special rules for me, and then I'm like favored. Like people are not going to play me the same way they played my other fellow, WNBA sisters. You know what I mean? Like playing me like you play anybody else. I don't want any special treatment. She wants to be treated like a ball player. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't think she wants all the special whistles and whatnot, so to speak. Bells and whistles. I'm like every time like you poke her, or you scratch her, or you pull her hair by accident or something, or you tap her on the shoulder a little bit too rough. It's like all over the place, and oh my God, look what they did to Kate. I'm like, I imagine for her. I'm like, I know sometimes she's like, oh my gosh, I want to play basketball. Like I just want to play basketball, please. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
See,
Like.
but that's what, remember, for years that's what they were saying about the NFL. Oh, that
Mhm.
we don't want to hear nothing about how you taking a knee. We just want to see football. But let's just be
Mhm.
real. Let's just look at it, okay, for 1 second. Watch this. They banned excessive celebration. You know that, and you know who that is. That's us. That's black folk. You know what I mean? They, you know, they put a band on it's really about seeing who you are, about your helmet, taking it off. They everything anything that has to do with us. You can't dance. You can't make up the celebrations, or people have to be out of the way. And so, but then they seen that some people wanted to see it. But in other words, they want to take away everything that's who we are. But they want to say that, oh, we just want to see sports. That's all. We want you to score a touchdown and walk away. No, that's what you do. That's what you do. We like to dance. We like to showboat. That's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I still see some. I see players still
I
showboat when
know,
they
but
get across.
because
Yeah.
they had to re-implement it, because why? Because all of a sudden it was cool because Travis Kelce and them want to do it now. Then it becomes cool because when he
Mhm.
wants to put on the black and talk about and put on the black persona and act like he a brother dating a sister, it's all right.
Well, I mean, it's just definitely different now. When it comes to him,
Oh yeah, I know.
he went back to, I think, his comfort zone. No shade.
Yeah, most definitely.
He like a
He
whole. He
shaved
looks
now. He
like,
looked like a
yeah. He
Viking. I
giving me like
understand.
Sheriff Kelsey. Now when I
Exactly.
see him,
Exactly.
like all
But
the swag is gone.
but everybody who wanted to see football, it became all right again when Kelce did it. You see what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? When he's a do the Lord, he's a do the Dougie. It was all
Uh
right
huh.
when he was Dougie in, and it was cool. It was nothing said. But when other people do it, then it's a problem. We gotta go through all this. Can't you just put the ball down? So
Mm-hmm.
get back to the point. So the point is, when you say that's all you want to see, but yet you still want to spew hate, spew this. What do you think these girls are? You think these girls are just people who you could just keep pouring junk into them, and they never gonna pop?
Mm-hmm.
You really think that's gonna be it? No. And racists hate, and I'm gonna tell you something about racists. Racists hate to hear when people talk about them. That's why they pull Black history teaching out of the schools, because no one wants to hear about where they come from, because then
Mm-hmm.
it's like then they see that it's systemic. And I don't want it to be systemic. I want it to be something. I want to blame it on the Apple family. And everything is blamed on the Apple family. There's a few bad apples. He's a bad
Mm-hmm.
apple. She's a bad apple. Ain't no bad apple. Y'all got systemic problems that
Mm-hmm.
y'all refuse to address.
Going back to what we were talking about, though, because I don't want to go too far off topic. One of the
I'm
things you
on
have here.
topic. I'm on.
No. Should Caitlin Clark come off the bench? I'm
Mm,
surprised if you put that there. No.
mm.
I don't think she should come off the bench. I mean, that would be completely crazy. I gotta say so myself.
Yeah, it is.
That's like,
I
yeah,
think it would be
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah. But I do feel like we were saying before, if you guys were here, we kind of got cut off with the live. My sound messed up. I couldn't hear him. We had to come back on and finish it out
Mm-hmm.
with you guys. We were kind of touching on this earlier. We were talking about Stephanie White, and I was asking, as a coach, your focus is to make sure that the team wins games, and everything you do is for the betterment of the team as a
Mm-hmm.
whole, but a lot of the fans are upset because they feel like Caitlin Clark is not, being put in the best situation to be who she is. They feel like, Stephanie White, is not putting the best, doing the best, putting the best offenses around her to help her thrive. She should be fired, things of that nature. So I'm like, if I'm a coach, You know, it's tough because this is not talking about a regular player.
Mm-hmm.
If she was a regular player, you have I feel like you have more leeway, more room, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like she has to make a choice. And at this point, she really has to make a choice right now because Cece's been in, she's been out. But now that she's back, assuming that she stays healthy, she has to either make the choice to coach for the betterment of the team
Mm-hmm.
or put Caitlin in the best situation to help her thrive. And
Yes.
hopefully it helps the whole entire team. Because
Yes.
otherwise, she's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be out of a job.
Yes.
Like out of a job, like Christy Sage, you know what I mean? That's what's gonna happen. So I'm like, it's a tough position to be in. I honestly feel for her, but she won this job, which is I told you before. I'm like, you should have stayed where you were, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut Sun was a great team last season. They were in the final four. Now they I don't know, they won 4 games. So I'm just like, like you took CC out last season, but you made it a point, her, Dewana, to go join, and implode the whole team. That was a success. Like you didn't need to do that. So I hope that she figures something out. Otherwise, she's gonna be sitting there like, damn, I should have just stayed in Connecticut.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, looking at what's going on with that. Um, I think she left because, well, you know why?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think,
it's chance over
yeah,
Caitlin Clark. I mean, I get it. It's up and
like,
coming. It's
yeah, I
Caitlin.
just think that she wanted something different, especially when they knew that they was dismantling the team. I think that they all knew that they was blowing that team up. And I think that,
They started with her though.
yeah, but I think they blew that team up for one reason, and a lot of things was done to support Caitlin Clark, because that was a team that caused her headache. Remember, Connecticut
Yeah, that's
was
what I'm saying. I'm just like I said, but she made a choice. Like she didn't have to leave. Like she absolutely could have
I
stayed.
know, but
You know.
let's just put it where it is, so we don't have to go on this out. Everybody got a
Mhm.
choice to do whatever they want to do, and I think she did it because, as I said, some people just want their roses at times. They want to shine where they want to shine, and that's just what it is. And sometimes, even though you're winning in other places, it doesn't equate the same way. And so when you see the light is shining brightly over here, you're like, well, I want to go over here because, I'm seeing that I can get some more spotlight. So she goes over there. It
And she
doesn't
cut the
work.
spotlight, all right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, she chose it, but the whole thing is it doesn't work because they still going to push her aside and say, basically, we're not going to even allow you to work through whatever you got to work through. You either going to serve the beast, in other words, the team
Yeah.
system,
Hmm.
or you're going to get tossed out. And so she didn't like it, and I think that she left. And it's going to be what it's going to be with that. As for Kate coming off the bench, no, I do not agree with that. But this is what I will say, because I'm kind of sharp. Because I remember one time I was talking about I said they needed to sit my boy Lamar Jackson down for a hot second and let him know what time it is. But and people lost their minds.
Yeah,
so
you definitely have.
so anyway, so this has nothing to do with who Kate is, her persona. This has to do with, yo, what do I see working? See, because all those 3 points and rainbows, that's all fine and well, right? But when she breaking, the best thing you can do is get a higher percentage shot and go in. And who's around the rim when they was winning with? Kelsey, Howard, and Boston. Sound like a law firm.
Hmm.
So, you know, you put those three girls down low and let them do what they do, and they're playing everything. They're playing below the foul line.
Hmm.
And that's where the grit is. That's where the rebounds are. And people say you don't need rebounds. Yes, you do need rebounds. Because when you bricking like Kate is right now, you need rebounds. So you need someone down there who's going to be cleaning up, laying the ball up, and getting
Hmm.
in. And it's hard for Kate to do that once again because she has no left hand. It's hard. She has no floater. She has no variety in her game outside of those 3-pointers. And everybody keeps saying that she does, but she doesn't. So no
So
matter how
what? So what? What are you saying the solution is?
the solution is to do what? It's to ride the horse. Ride what's working. How dare you snatch what's working and tell and it's like and tell everybody else, oh, we got to go back to what we were doing, even though you're shooting bricks. We want to go back to that. Even though I'm a huge Kyrie Irving fan, when that happened in Boston, when he came back, remember they was doing real well, and then he got injured, and then when he came back, and Scary Terry was lighting it up. I'm talking about the basketball Terry, not the football Terry. Terry was lighting it up. Well, guess what, Kyrie? Even though I love you, bro, even though I got your back $100, they were doing better.
Mm-hmm.
They actually were doing better with that system opposed to with you handling the rock, because you were still kind of at that time you was still a little bit more ball dominant. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
But I feel like it's not even more so about the offense. I feel like it's more the defense that really shifted a little bit when she was out.
All right.
Like I said,
Let's talk about that.
But like I said, I didn't get to see how it looked today. So I didn't watch the game. I saw a little bit of the highlights. I gotta go back and watch it again. But
my phone typed everything I said. I was sending somebody a text message, and this is so dangerous.
Right? You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
But no. So I think creative opportunities for them was, the defense was really, stagnant, it was smothering. They really found something, I think, with the defense that led to a lot of, opportunities with the offense. And I'm thinking, like, if I'm the coach, this is why I say you got to be careful when you decide to up and leave a winning situation to supposedly receive more praise or whatever it is, because the fans wanted her for a reason, which means that you were seen. People saw you. They thought you were a great coach. They thought you were the coach that could really help move the Fever into, being stronger playoff contenders, dare I say, WNBA champions, this season or arguably the next season. And like I said, the view in the passenger seat is very different than the driver's seat. And I think she's finding that out right now because, I think if they can keep the defense the same way it was, and let that lead to creating opportunities for the team, I think they could thrive better as a team. And even Caitlin can still shine because she also can still assist. She doesn't have to always knock down threes, but the fact that that she can. So she's a threat, both directions. She rebounds a little bit as well. That she never have like 6-7 rebounds a game. But if you keep the defense the way it is, and you have the offense, more of a shared offense, and keeping other teams kind of on their toes, like don't have it so much in her hands. And I know it might not be the popular thing to do, but as long as she still gets her shine, which is obviously what fans want, and the team is winning, then I think she'll have a better chance of getting past one season in Indiana.
Definitely. Now, this is so funny. Today, I'm looking up turnovers today for Kate, and it says information. Look, it says information is not available.
I don't. Watching some of the highlights, I didn't really see a turnover. I didn't really see a lot of turnovers, honestly speaking, in this game. I feel like the Valkyries were a little bit faster. And quicker in what they were doing. So that's kind of how, they create opportunities for themselves. Like I said, this team wasn't shooting. They weren't shooting a high amount of shots. So it wasn't I think it was like 37% from three as a team, something like that. And like I said, I think only Kayla Thornton was the only person that was really thriving in today's game. It wasn't everybody, so it was really crazy to me how they still won that game. I said, it's the defense, they were kind of smothering them. But like I said, some teams just had your number because they beat them before. Ain't the first time they beat them. So some teams just had your number, like the Sparks. The Sparks defense is not that good, but their offense is good. So they can kind of meet Indiana where it is with the offense, and decide to keep themselves in the game. You got to have one of the two. You got to have a high-powered offense or a smothering defense to keep yourself in the game.
Okay.
Like I didn't want it to.
So you want to talk defense now? Okay, so let's use defense. All right. So we know that Kate moves slow laterally, and that she's handsy, but she doesn't have feet defense, and that's what defense is really play with your feet. So although she's kind of tall, so she can get around and strip people at times coming up from behind or however she may do it, but her feet are slow, and that's why she get cooked a lot on defense. So, and we seen in college, we seen last year with her first coach, and we seen
Mhm.
this year with this coach that they all pull Caitlin out when there's a tight defense sequences come along, and they know that the opponent can score. So therefore, we know that historically she does not work on her problems. She lets them linger. So the problem is not really what White is facing as a coach now with her. The problem is that they refuse to address it, and what they did to nullify it was they got an athletic guard, then they got an athletic forward, and that was Bonner, and she left, and then they also got Cunningham. So they brought in people to supplement her weaknesses. But as we see, that it's going to be an ongoing problem because why? You want her on the floor, and people are going to force you to switch, and they're going to ISO you. So that's the problem.
That's why I said she has a choice to make because
Yeah.
you're not going to get her right now to make all these changes. Something she's been doing so well for so long. She is who she is. In the off season, and we can talk about learning some different things or working some different things, right? But right
Yeah.
now they're like in the middle of their season at this point. It's getting the All-Star game. All-Star game is like the break, and then everybody's pushing for playoffs and seeding and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
to try to get her to work on other things right now, I think a little bit too late at this moment, not for her overall career, but right now where the season is. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, but like I said, she's really sit down with herself and see that, okay, do I want to keep my job? Do I want to leave? Do I want to lose my job into the season? Because one thing about those fans, they want their fans to be happy. They
Yeah.
want their fans to be happy, and the fans are not happy at all with her. Obviously, people paid money for tickets, and then she wasn't there, so they kind of think they got refunded money or gave some money back or something. I saw because Sue Bird
Exactly.
was like, "We don't do that. Like, we don't do that in NBA games when Steph is not playing, LeBron's not playing. Like, you still pay for the ticket. Why are we doing it in
Exactly.
WNBA? So that's the issue. And then people watching the game, she's not playing. That percentage went down. So I'm pretty sure the higher ups are like, look, we need her to play. Like we need her to play. So she really has to sit with herself quietly with her family, whatever, and be like, okay, how do I do this for the betterment of the team and still keep my damn job?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that comes with certain players. I think there's a lot of players like that around in every league that you just can't bench, and it's like, oh, you got to be cool with it.
Hmm.
But the thing about it is that we've seen it. This is the thing: we've seen it happen with Kobe. We've seen it happen with LeBron.
Hmm.
And when you talk about Kobe and LeBron, you're really talking about two of the bigger names in our era. You know what I mean? And so when I see that, and so much so that we seen Shaq get traded as a result of that. And so you have to come up, you have to put your foot down sometime as a coach. See, and see that's what's wrong with hysteria. Everybody gets so hysterical over, oh, that's why you got to calm that mess down, and you have to address it because once again, that she's finding that is biting her now. I'm talking about the coach. It's biting you because you're so hush hush about it. It's all right when it favors you, but one thing about craziness, one thing about this manic behavior is
Hmm.
that it devours everyone.
Hmm.
No one's safe.
Hmm.
So you either attack it while it's shining on something else so it
Hmm.
can clearly see who you are,
Hmm.
or when it shines on you and you defend yourself, it's going
Hmm.
to completely envelop you because now you're the enemy because you allowed the voice to grow when it was looking at the other people. So there you go. It's really simple, but we make it hard. You know what I mean?
You know what, you guys? It's been a long day, so
All right.
get up out of here now. But
Okay.
we spoke about Angel Reese a little bit with the whole like slapping the clipboard, but I want to shout her out because she's been doing her big one. You know, have you seen her new her Reebok? I'm about to say Nike Reebok unveiled. You know, her signature shoe.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
I've
if you see
seen it.
it, it
Yeah,
looks really
yeah,
cool. I'm hoping she gets a cool commercial coming sometime soon. Like Reebok, let's get my girl a commercial. Okay, we
yeah.
gotta have a
I
little
want to see some
commercial,
color on
something.
there too. Yeah,
You know, and her being on the cover of NBA 2K is so huge. You
yeah.
know,
That
like
that
that's
was huge.
I
I
was
thought
like,
I thought
what?
that was somebody playing around. So that was real, huh?
It is, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So when you tune in to Katya, you gonna get results. You gonna get
You
it. You
know,
know what I
it,
mean?
it absolutely was real, and I was like, go. I was at work when I saw it. I was like, damn it, I want to post right now about it, but I could not because I had clients, so I had to wait. But so happy for her, and I love because I'm like, I'm pretty sure there was some fans that were like, well, how come Angel, and who was it? I think their director. He came out, you know, and he said, you know, they've had a great relationship with Angel Reese for the past few years. That was the first thing. While she was chosen, they love her style on the court, off the court. They love her personality, her vibe, which is why they really felt it was the right time. They didn't really. They're like, we don't really. We love controversial things. We don't really shy away from those kind of things. So for us, you know, it was a no brainer. You know, in a nutshell. And
Yeah.
I love that. You know,
But you know
I love
you
that.
know the rumor is coming, right? You know what the
Right.
rumor is, right? The rumor is going to be, and you heard it here first on Katya's show here. You're
Right.
going to hear them say, "Caitlyn turned it down."
Oh, well, we'll see. We shall see.
That's going to be the narrative because they're going to be mad because Angel got it, and yeah,
I think that's why he had to make a statement. I'm not like, it's crazy to actually make a statement to explain why they chose Angel Reese. You know, like,
yeah,
stop it. You know, like, now I will say I do hope that her fans support her. I didn't really like the fact that the fans that, you know, comments didn't really support her with All Star because she should have been a starter right off the back. I'm like, why was she a reserve? You know, she was kind of far down in terms of what she was last season. That's the first thing. And like
yeah,
with Asia Wilson has fans, but nobody's really buying her shoe. You know,
yeah,
I'm like,
man.
we gotta support our people. You know, like Jalen Brown has his own shoe, Kyrie Irving has his own shoe. We always go for the bigger, you know, name brands or whatever have it. We don't really support our own like that. You know, I'm like, get
Yeah.
out there and get Asia's shoe. You know, for they pull it off the shelves because they will do that if it's not selling. You know,
And
same
you
thing
know
with
what?
Angel. Like, go get her shoe.
I'm gonna order my wife a pair tomorrow, but no, I can't do that. You know what?
I don't think they came out yet. That's number
But
one. But
my wife, she's a fickle pickle boy. You whatever. If she don't like it, it will sit right where it's.
yeah, yeah,
Man,
I get it.
I don't care if you put. I don't care if you come over to her and you have a tear coming down your eye. She'll go, "Oh, babe, that's so nice," and she'll put it there. And I swear, 2 years later, it'll still be right.
Hey, you
So
like
ask
what you
me.
like. I'm
I've
not
been
mad
married
at her.
31 years. I know. Ask me how I know.
Because if Angel Shoe comes out, or when it comes out, or like this, the
Man.
2K cover comes out. I mean, when it's like the game actually drops, you know, if the sales drop, people gonna be looking for that now. You know, oh look, no, they should have chose Caitlyn because look at the sales. The sales are low, you know, compared to what it was last year, and so on and so forth. You know, so I really hope that, you know, her fans, I don't care if you're black, white, whatever, like they really go out and support her and really get, you know, this 2K. I'm gonna get 2K because my son plays basketball as well, but I'm gonna get that WNBA edition for my girl. Got to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell my son to get it because he has he's now taking over my living room with his one of
And I
his
should have
kids.
got me a pair of Caitlin's Kobe's, you know, because I'm like, why didn't I order a pair and then resell it? Because people were like
I know,
desperate for those
but
sneakers online.
yeah,
What?
I just love the Heat's colors on that shoe. It just
60
pops.
seconds was crazy. And I think it was going to sell like hotcakes. I said like the night before, I was like, it comes out tomorrow. Make sure you
Yeah,
have
of
your credit
course.
card, your debit card ready, like inserted. So you can just click size shows and boom, order.
Yeah,
You know,
of
otherwise
course.
you're going to be left out if you don't move
Yeah, but
fast.
they look, but you know, and some people say, well, only when they sold because they was a Kobe. I said that's a half truth. They would have sold anyway, and the proof of that is that it's her jersey sells. If her jersey sells is up there, you know good and well the sneakers was going to sell.
I mean,
But
any sneaker, if she could release it with, you know, New Balance, it would still sell, you know, like it's
yeah, yeah, but no, well, New Balance done came up now. Stop now. But
No, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't like really matter where she went. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
but
It could
but
have been
but,
through
but, but what
Wilson, you
gave
know,
her
like,
street cred? I'm talking about the look. To me, what
oh,
made it appealing is that it was something that we already saw, we already
mhm,
digested. So
mhm,
the appeal that made it easier. Like we don't have to go and reinvent anything.
mhm.
We'll
I
just put
wonder
this.
if there'll ever be like a Caitlin Clark Jordan kind of release or
Oh, you already,
re-release or
girl, you
something,
already
you
know
know,
they
like,
that's already
you
done.
know.
It just haven't been released. You already know that.
I'm just
Come
not
on
thinking
now.
about it now. I'm like, I need to be behind the marketing team for something. I got some ideas, you know. Like,
Yeah.
who do I send them to?
Look, if Coco Golf has her, she's known for now. She got two signature shoes. She has a whole line of clothes. Every time she plays in a different tournament,
Mhm.
everyone lines up to see what she's going to wear next, and
Oh,
it's
cool. I know that.
great. Yeah, and she color coordinates with her tennis racket, which is crazy.
Mhm. I mean,
She
you gotta have your own style. It's part of your brand. You know, branding is everything. You know, your look, your
yeah.
hair, your
Yeah,
makeup, nails if you have nails. You know, your tennis racket, your socks, shoes, all that stuff is a part of your brand. I was trying to tell my son that, you know, like branding is so important. You got to brand yourself, and you know, it's hard sometimes to necessarily have the funds to do what you want to do. You
amen.
know, so you said you kind of got to get creative, you know, and think outside the box so that you know you can bring the funds to you. Like,
Yeah, you got to, man. You got to do, and sometimes you may think it's stupid, but you have to move in that timing and get it done. You know, big time. I mean, that's just how it is. So
time. Oh man, time. Everything is not in your time. It's so hard to accept.
I know that's right, young lady. I know that's
So
right.
for someone like me, I'm like, come on, are you serious? You know, like, but just got to keep going.
Yeah, yep. Got to keep going. But Kai, it's 9:52 Eastern
It
Standard.
is.
But yeah, she didn't got
not,
her.
not Pacific,
Not
not Central
Pacific.
Time.
Yeah. It's 9:52, but you know, it's been a live one, and got to turn on the couch if you want to hear the truth. You know what I mean?
Stop it! You are hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh
Anyway,
man.
all right. So tomorrow, can I just leave you with this real
Oh
quick?
gosh, what is it? What is it?
Yes! Woo! That's my air horn. Oh my god!
It
And
definitely is. It definitely is something.
you know what? You think it's corny. You know what?
I'm glad you could tell my face. I don't have to say much. I'm glad you could tell that I felt that way.
You think it's corny. I know you think it's corny. That's all right. But you could think it's corny. But guess what? It works. It works.
If it makes you feel great, then it works.
If it's Jamaican, it works. You got that? The double entendre, Jamaican air
No,
horn, Jamaicans, they work. You
they
know?
definitely work.
Yeah, exactly.
Jamaicans,
The double,
Hispanics,
the double entendre.
Africans. In case of them, they work. They work hard.
Yeah, man. So you
The
won't
hustle
have
is
to.
real, and I respect it. Huh?
So you won't have to.
All right.
Nah.
Let me get up.
Oh, cool. All right. Peace. All right. Thanks, Kai.
Good night.
Peace.